All right, so we're crossing. TP1 is here. So yeah, hopefully you guys made some money. Oh, there it is. There it is. 2 to 1. Wow, right when we're ending. Nice. Nice. Now this will probably really melt down to like 3 to 1 plus, by the way. All right, what's good, YouTube? We are starting a brand new series today where we're going to be covering trade recaps. I've been live streaming for the past several years in our private mentorship program called Akashex. I stream Mondays at 11 in Spanish and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays in English. And on the sessions, I pretty much look for live positions, day trading NQ with the community. Sometimes we have setups, sometimes we don't. If we don't have setups, we'll probably just go over previous setups, what's to come the next day, or just cover whatever, questions, all that good stuff. But if our strategy is active, if it's behaving the way we want it to behave, then we will definitely live execute positions with the gang. And so y'all saw a little preview of today's session where we caught a nice dub, a nice 2 to 1 when it was all said and done. Obviously I'd love to go for more than that, but 2 to 1s are amazing. And so we're going to be covering this trade, and moving forward we're going to be pretty much recapping losses, wins, break-even days, no trade days, really whatever, to give you guys a glimpse of what we really do on these live sessions within the private community, in hopes that you guys will wake up, sign the F up, bro. So let's get straight into it, man. As you guys saw in the intro, we were looking for shorts on NQ. Now, for those who don't know, I have a strategy called Liberty X. I've been pretty much trading NQ fully for the past year and a half as my one and only real thing that I day trade. And the reason for that is because the session that I'm trading, which is New York, prints really great moves. I don't need to really have an expansive watch list the way I like to trade. If we can find a way to look for the exact same list of confirmations each and every single day in the market, we will execute and build our accounts like that, whether you're trading live, whether you're trading funded, whether you're trading CFDs with NAS 100, or if you're trading futures, NQ, MNQ, all that good stuff. So all of that applies, and we're going to make a video where we kind of actually cover the strategy a bit here for YouTube. But we're going to be trading this exact same model every single day. And it combines a couple different elements. Really, it's 3 main things. We're going to be looking at session-based liquidity primarily. We're going to be looking at Asian range. We're going to be looking at VWAP, and we're going to be applying the concept of PO3, which obviously, if you guys know about ICT, we know that we get that from that. So kind of bringing these 3 elements of session-based liquidity, the VWAP, and PO3, we are going to find the exact same type of trades every single day. Now, first thing that I'm going to look for is the 6 a.m. candle. It's a 4-hour candle from 6 to 10 a.m. And we always talk about, or you probably hear a lot of people talk about, don't fight the trend, don't fight the higher time frame momentum, all that. And this is why. If we have a very strong bearish candle or bullish, that next 4-hour window from 10 to 2, which is really the main good volume that comes from New York session, after a lot of high impact news like CPI, PPI, and then after we have the New York Stock Exchange open at 9:30, we can really find a good move from that 10 to 2 4-hour candle window. And so, yeah, basically we're going to be looking for shorts or sells if we can have 3 things aligned. Number 1, we need to be under Asia low, or if we have, for example, Asia high that gets maybe rated during London session, and then that 4-hour window from 6 to 10 ends up being bearish, something like this, we're under Asia high, which signifies that that could just be a fake out, and we will still look for shorts based off of that. So we're looking for sells if price fakes Asia high and then closes back below, or if we just simply break below Asia low. One of those 2 scenarios are the sell scenarios. And if vice versa, we have a very bullish 4-hour candle from 6 to 10, we're going to want to see price cross above Asia low or cross above Asia high. So the session based, understanding is going to be really important. And so again, in today's situation, we have price basically breaking out of the low since 9:50, so about 10 minutes before our window. And we really ended up respecting Asia high, as you can see here, to kind of have our pushed below. So that's number one. We want to stay under Asia. The second thing is VWAP. If we are under the VWAP, that shows us that there's a lot of selling momentum. Obviously, we can always look at bigger picture things like what's the overall, trend. We've seen NASDAQ basically tanking for the past couple days, week, whatever it is. So we're definitely on the side of momentum when it comes to selling a bearish market. We saw Asia get broken below and staying below. We're under the VWAP, and that 6 to 10 a.m. candle is bearish. So really everything aligns for us to look for shorts. Now, the last thing is really using the concept of PO3. Now, in today's session, we actually had price take us out break even once, and then we entered a second time and it ended up working out. So the first position that we really looked at was right here, where we saw price basically pop up above the 10 a.m. open price. Now, the whole idea of PO3, as I teach it, in our academy, is basically if you have a candle that's, let's say, a bearish candle, you're gonna have an open, a high, a low, and a close. And so if you expect to be, let's say, in a bearish 4-hour candle, you want to try to position yourself as high as possible in that candle for sells, obviously, so you can catch the majority of the move. So where would that be? It would be by the open or somewhere near the top. So for me, a big thing that helps us kind of identify, that price is ready to drop off is allowing that wick to form and then kind of entering right where that candle opens. And so again, you'll have one big candle that looks like this, but on the smaller time frames, it'll look something like this, where price opens at 10 a.m. and then you'll have price spike up and then eventually come back below that open price, and that's where we want to execute. So that's basic 101 PO3 stuff. Again, what makes this very powerful is that we're trading within session. We have these other confirmations of Asia and VWAP, and so when you put it all together, it has a very strong win rate. It has a very strong risk to reward element as well, where for me, 2-to-1s are basically the minimums that we try to get. All right, so another thing we see here is we had fair value gaps that sat within this candle that kind of pushed price above 10 a.m. open. So I already know that's going to be a magnet that's going to want, where price is going to want to drop back into this. So everything's really forming for us to feel confident about taking shorts, as long as we pop up, which we did with this candle, and if we can come back below. All right, so this is where the first original position came on the live session, where basically we see this next candle here start to break and push here, and basically we ran for about a 1-to-1. So we hit about a 1-to-1. All right, hold on. There we go. So I usually use a 50-point stop, which is 5,000 ticks on NQ. A 1-to-1 is here. Now, obviously, there's going to be judgment calls that you're going to need to make with any system. I like to have a mix of some things that are mechanical or very rule-based, but at the end of the day, experience and intuition is always going to be a big part of us kind of knowing whether to allow a trade to breathe a little bit, or if we're just going to manage it very tightly and take break evens and maybe have to re-enter if possible. Now, we got 1-to-1. We ended up getting a really strong pullback here, and I personally stayed in. And at first it was good. We got another push. Price ended up pushing lower. At this point, I honestly thought we were good, and people were closing some profits here on the session, especially newer people who are scared to hold trades to further targets. I really was convinced we were going to hit a 2-to-1 here, but we didn't quite get there. We actually ended up reversing and coming back above entry right there. So I took a break even here. Okay, so we ended up allowing this one to run first, but I ended up hitting break even here. And at that point, you know, not doubting the trade, but I knew that price was not really behaving the way it does on good days, because whenever we have a really good day with the strategy, we typically get that reaction, and once we move to almost a 2-to-1 plus, price tends to just really run. And we saw a lot of back and forth today, which was kind of an indication that we weren't probably gonna get a 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1 trade. And whatever, later, you know, price ends up kind of, you know, dancing around. We come back to Asia, respect Asia, and we start coming back into that 10 a.m. open price. And right here, once we started crossing, shifting structure again, this is where we executed the second position. And this one was the one that ended up, you know, hitting our targets. Now, I always tell people that 2-to-1 risk to reward ratios are usually the main focus for me, just because, you know, and I know a lot of traders that don't use 2-to-1s and they're able to do great things. At the end of the day, it comes down to your win rate and it comes down to your risk to reward ratios. I can win half my trades at 2-to-1s. I already know I'm going to be in profit when it's all said and done after a series of many trades. So 2-to-1s are where I really try to secure that if the market gives it to me. Now, we notice there's a lot of liquidity that stayed below all these little lows right here. I figured at some point we would definitely break all of that, which should get us to that 2-to-1, and after that, nothing's really promised. I really tend to trail stop and really aggressively manage that once we get to 2-to-1, just to not give back anything. And that's basically how it played out. We saw price respect 10 a.m. multiple times here, and then finally we hit 2-to-1. Now, for me, again, taking out all this major liquidity, the fact that price was pretty scrunched up today, when in other days, which you'll see in further recaps in the future, we don't necessarily get price so scrunched up like this. We'll have smoother running trades that are just easy to run for way more than 2R. But whenever we have this sideways price action and we can get a 2-to-1, I'm very happy. Obviously, tomorrow's FOMC as well. So days leading up to FOMC don't necessarily come out cleanest in my experience. So yeah, end up getting this candle that starts crossing back above 2R, and I ended up pulling out. Luckily, because price ended up completely running the other way. So worst case scenario, somebody would have gone break even today. There's no real reason why, especially after this second entry, that somebody should be holding that or taking an L. But we all know trade management sometimes can be one of the hardest parts of trading once you kind of know your strategy or entry model or whatever the case is. But again, all the rules were there. 6 a.m. bearish candle, under Asia, under VWAP. We wait for power of 3 to present itself with price popping up above and then closing back below 10 a.m. open price. And we simply try to hold for 2-to-1s with a 50-point stop. Literally, that's the sauce. That's the magic. Now, if you're somebody that's looking to learn day trading or find maybe an entry model or a system that can just help you find consistency, you know, I think you'll be really surprised of what this strategy can give you. Obviously, in the private mentorship, which is called the cost checks, I have pre-recorded content where we explain all of this in much more depth with multiple examples. And then obviously we day trade in English and Spanish throughout the week. And today just happened to be a decent day. Some days we'll take L, some days we'll take break evens. Today was a decent winner after taking an early break even. And I call this a win because we hit 2R. If we don't really hit 2R, I'll consider it a break even or loss day. But anything over 2R plus needs to be secured. And that's what it was today. So tomorrow, we'll be back at it again, and then Thursday, and call it a week. So tomorrow's FOMC, last FOMC was actually pretty wild. The FOMC time frame starts at 2 p.m. So technically it's after my window anyways. So if price still gives me my setups, still behaves how I want it to behave, I'll take a setup. But definitely would love to be out of that position before FOMC. And yeah, man, for anybody that, you know, is trying to find consistency, it's really about having very clear rules for what type of trade you're looking for. What's your A plus setup? And then when it presents itself, you got to put risk on the line and take it. Really nothing else you could do past that. Trade recap number 1 We'll continue to run this up, documenting all of these trades. And yeah, man, if you guys have been trading Liberty X as part of AkashX, let me know in the comment section if you guys made some profit today on the live session or just trading this on your own. And let's make some noise, y'all. Peace. See you on the next one.